Good morning, Karen, and good
Good
morning,
morning,
people,
Chris.
and good morning to the SPTV family. Lovely to see your smiling face again this morning.
Well, it's lovely to be here with you, and it's Monday morning, and it's all nice and bright and sunny in my part of Lincolnshire, but a bit nippy, I have to say.
Same
So,
here in my part of Lincolnshire.
and it's good morning to everybody out there on Facebook and on YouTube. We're here on Monday to start your day. It's really exciting to be back. Doesn't the week go quick? Whoosh, and we're back.
I know, and can you barely believe it? We're nearly at the end of a year already.
Oh, don't. I know it's getting very, very scary how quickly time goes. So, how was your weekend? Did you have a good time?
Not too bad, not too bad. I wasn't the best this weekend, but obviously because of what things happened. So,
Yes. Yeah.
but again, just took it easy. Got to
Yeah.
listen to the old body, haven't we? And do that.
Do you know what? That's so true. We should listen to our bodies more and be aware of what they're telling us instead of what we think we want to do. So, I really think that that's important. I went to sunny Scunthorpe yesterday. I did a service, in-person service, new church. So that
Wow.
was exciting. So
Oh,
there
I
you
thought
go.
you were down Brighton. I saw something in Facebook where you went
Oh, I
for a
was there
meal.
on I was in Eastbourne on Friday. Yes.
Wow, don't you get about?
Well, a quick day trip to Eastbourne on Friday, a quiet day on Saturday, and then in sunny Scunthorpe on Sunday evening. So
Oh,
there you go.
Karen's on the road. You should have taken the SPTV family with you.
Yes,
So,
I was. I did get about a bit this weekend, but there you go. But sometimes you have quiet times when you need to rest, and sometimes you're buzzing around all over the place. So
exactly. And there's
that's
no rest today. We've got quite a packed show, haven't we, Karen?
all we have. Yes, we've got a wonderful guest coming on today. We've got the lovely Kiri, who's going to talk about her podcasts and the stories and the people that she's interviewed. So I'm excited about that. But we've also got to send some healing to Kate May because our lovely Kate
Absolutely.
is poorly at the moment with tonsillitis. So there's no Kate Taroscope today. So I'm sure all the family will, like us, send her healing and hope she'll be back with us next week. So there's a lot of these things going around. It's the
All
time
right.
of year.
Speedy cut recovery, Kate, from and love from us all here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we better say our good mornings to our lovely family to see if they're
Yes,
all right.
the lovely Chrissy's on already. She's saying good morning to us all and asking if we're well. We are getting there, Chrissy. We hope you are
Absolutely.
too.
Lots of hearts. Oh, she's had the cold virus since last Monday, but I had the flu jab 2 weeks today. Obviously, the jab was a waste of time. Well, sometimes
Oh,
we have reactions, Chrissy, to these jabs, but I hope you feel better soon.
yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult when we get these things. Hello, Cheryl. Nice to see you. It's
Yeah,
nice
lovely
when
to
we get
see you,
our
Cheryl.
regulars.
Oh, and Perry wins again. Hi, all. I love that. Lovely to see you all from sunny California again. Oh, and our
Absolutely.
lovely Linda, who is joining us today.
Oh, good morning, Linda. Thank you for coming. It's lovely to have you with us.
Yeah. And Ruth's joining first time here. Oh, where are you from, Ruth? Please let us know.
Welcome, Ruth. Nice to see you. And we've got Nicola. Good morning to you, Nicola.
Good morning, Nicola. So we've got a few things going on. We've got Claire Pasterfield, I believe, tonight.
We have, but let's just say a few more hellos and then we can update
Okay. Oh, sorry.
everybody with what's going on. Good morning, James Wheatley Bradford. Nice to see you.
Hello, Jay. Oh, and hello, Stacy.
Good morning, Susan Cooper.
Oh, the lovely Trevor's with us. Are we having a moment of silence at 11? Well, I certainly think we could put that in, Karen, and I think we should
Yes, definitely, because it is the proper armistice day today, the 11th of the
today.
11th. So if I'm sure Richard wouldn't mind slotting that in at 11 o'clock because it is important just to pay our respects. So yes, Trevor. Good morning, Ashley. Nice to see you.
And you, good morning, Ashley. Oh,
Hello, Simone from Adelaide, Australia.
wow. I bet it's hot there.
Yeah, they're going into their summer, aren't they?
They are indeed. And Margie O'Brien, hello. Hello,
Hello,
Margie. Good
Margie.
morning. Or good e. I'm saying good morning, and it could be good evening,
Well,
so
it
please
is out
forgive
there. It is
me.
in Australia. Good morning, Sherry Louise. Nice to see you.
Right, James. I've also been ill with the same horrible germs that my mum has. Haven't allowed to hold me back much, though, as I've been collecting autumn leaves for my arts and craft. Wow, some beautiful colours, isn't there? So
Oh, lovely.
that would
I
be
love a bit
lovely.
of, I love autumn, James. I love all the beautiful colours. It just, I love, when you're driving around or walking around and that lovely crunch from underneath your feet. It's lovely. Yeah.
It is. Don't you think the autumn colours were a bit late this year? I didn't see them until just later on, actually.
Well, we had some warm weather, didn't we, around sort of
Yes.
September time, so and October. So I think that's why. So it's more like autumn today than moving into winter. I think the seasons are a bit, they're catching up, I think.
Skew with.
Oh,
Oh,
Linda laid the wreath yesterday. It was lovely. Yes,
I
I
saw
remember.
that on Facebook, Linda. It was lovely, and our Nick looked very spiffing, didn't he?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I did wonder if Nick was going to do it this year because he did it last year as well. Good morning, Helen Mansell.
Good morning, Helen. And good morning from the Isle of Man with Jane Wilson.
Oh, I like the Isle of Man. I've visited there. It's a nice place.
I've never been there.
It is
I've
nice,
never.
Chris. It
So,
is
a good
nice.
morning to Mary Jane Kirkby. Yes, we will certainly look at that Mary a bit later on in the show.
Okay, well, if we haven't said hello to you, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, everyone on the SPTV family, and we are now going to get on with our show. And I just want to check, Richard, is it okay if we have the 11 o'clock silence? Is that all right? Okay, okay. So we're going to have a little 1 minute silence at 11 o'clock. So we'll have to keep an eye on the time. But now it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the show our lovely special guest, Kiri. So it's really lovely to have a special guest, isn't it, Chris, today?
It is, yes. And the lovely Kiri, I believe, does a lovely podcast as well. So, on self-help and things.
Absolutely.
So, good
Here
morning,
she
Kerry.
is.
Good morning, Karen and Chris, and morning to everyone that's tuning in. Thank you for having me.
Our
You're
pleasure
welcome.
to welcome you. Our pleasure. So Kiri, what what where are you from? What is it you do? Tell us and the SPTV family a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Kiri. I'm actually from sunny Bournemouth.
Oh,
So you were talking about the weather, Karen, in Lincolnshire and Chris, and it is lovely and well, the sun is popping out today. I can feel it. So that always makes us feel a bit better, doesn't it, when the sun comes out?
it does.
Absolutely.
And we've got the beach. So if I get a chance today, I might go for a little walk on the beach and lap up the sunny rays.
Lovely,
Wow.
lovely. So you're
And
you're already getting some hellos, so that's
oh,
nice.
hello, Ruth and Sam. Thank you.
So, where do you do your podcast? Where would our viewers find you?
Yeah, so you can go to any podcast platform and just search for it. So it's called Kiri Presents, and it's called Awe Inspiring Stories. So it's called that because I speak to a lot of people that have been through something and they're overcoming, like it might be an illness or something that they live with or something they've been through before and they have now overcome it. And it's based on the calendar awareness days. So, sort of monthly or weekly, they might be like a health awareness month or something. Like
Hmm.
there's Alzheimer's month, isn't there? I've done a Crohn's and colitis one, mental health. I've
Yeah.
done baby loss, World Sight Day, lots of things, migraines. So something from quite people think might be quite simple and things that you might not think are a big deal, but they are to that person. And there's going to be lots of people that are going to be affected by these things as well. So hopefully if there's a few people that listen to that particular person's story, then it might help them with their journey as well. So that's the whole idea of doing it.
So where do you find your people? Where do you, so how do you get people to come on to tell their story? How does it all work?
So I started by thinking, oh God, I've got so many people that I know that have got certain things that they will be really good at talking about. So yeah, started with friends actually.
Yeah.
And then built it up from there. And then now I sort of just go on, there's lots of Facebook platforms like the podcast Facebook groups. So I just ask for guests on there if there's any particular topic that's coming up. So I think last year I looked for someone that might have gone through organ donation. And that was a really interesting one. So it was actually a mum that got in contact with me about her daughter that was on the organ donation list. And we had a really, really interesting chat about that. She's still waiting. But it really put the message out about how important it is to be on the organ donation list if you can and if you want to be. People don't know how to do it, or everyone's got the choice to do it or not to do it, but it's just putting that message out there so people are aware of it. So that was really good to do.
Chrissy's just put something up that's quite funny. What about man flu podcast?
I totally agree. I absolutely agree.
We've been talking a lot about man flu, lots of comments about man flu, isn't there?
Yeah.
My husband used to get the flu all the time. We're not the age group to get a flu jab necessarily, but we do now because in the past we've suffered with flu. So now, and actually when I was pregnant and had the kids, we got offered a flu jab. So then I've just carried on because the flu is horrible, isn't it?
It is. It's not nice.
So yeah, my husband always gets the flu jab now. And that really helps. So even if you're not eligible, you can pay to get the flu jab. So I'd recommend that.
At my doctor's, I'm on a waiting list, believe it or not. We have a waiting list for it. So Kiri, when you talk, so you obviously bring around about awareness about certain subjects. So does that then lead into how these people live with it or work with it, or is it just generally about awareness?
Yeah, so I suppose it's them showing how they would live with it and manage their conditions. And then it might give people that are in a similar boat sort of tips and ideas and inspiration on how they can manage their situation as well. So it's inspiring for people to listen that aren't going through that, because it brings you back down to earth, doesn't it, if you're listening to something where people are in a worse position. Because sometimes we think we moan about things, but actually there's so many people that are worse off. So when you listen to these things, you realize that we're really lucky, and it reminds us to be more grateful and how lucky we are. So there's that. And then people that are going through that or a similar thing, it helps them manage it as well.
So I suppose those people can inspire others that are going through the same things, or are struggling in any way, shape or form. I love listening to an inspiring story, how people have overcome things. They always sort of make you think how to be grateful for what you have got first and foremost, and also to think, wow, that was really quite and how do we get through those inspiring? How do we get through these things? Where does the strength and the determination come? That's always what I tap into. So if any of our lovely viewers have got any questions or anything they want to ask Kiri, I'm sure she would answer them. And if you've got anything that you want to ask her, or also if you've got if you know of anybody that's got an inspiring story as well, that they can get in touch with Kiri. So keep your questions coming, everybody, because we do like
Good morning, Karen and Kelly as well. We better say hello to our
good morning, Karen, and good morning, Kelly.
So Kiri, then, so really I don't think you're too dissimilar to what Karen and I do in there, because it's still talking about, although we do the messages, it's still talking about the human spirit and the strength of that. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to hearing more about what you guys are doing. I have watched bits of it, but I'm not very knowledgeable with the spiritual world. So yeah, I really would love to learn more about it. But yeah, it definitely is on a similar pathway because it's digging deep, isn't it?
It is.
And yeah,
Mhm.
finding that strength to live your best life, I suppose, like as best as you can.
So just
Definitely.
reading here, Prairie Wind's one with it, she says she could write a book through various health conditions,
Mm.
um, and it is and still always has been and always will still be a battle. So that just leads me to thinking then, and what's your thoughts on this? Why do people keep seeming to be on this hamster wheel of going through these conditions, whether they be varied or the same one? What's your thoughts on that? That could possibly help the viewer.
Well, yeah, that's a tricky one, but I know there's a lot of autoimmune, isn't there, out at the moment, more so I think than when our parents were, or my parents were sort of growing up. And I think I don't know whether that's down to there's more sort of processed food nowadays. We're not sort of maybe not as natural as we were sort of generations before. So I think there is more illnesses to be had like in these generations, isn't there? So it's just being, and I'm not saying it's like that particular person's fault because a lot of it is real sort of unlucky as well. But yeah, I think it is the sort of the generation how we're living is a bit more unnatural possibly these days.
Oh, quite agree there. We've
Yeah.
been talking about that not too long ago. So it's,
Mm.
I would say what I call it, maybe this is too strong, I don't know about you, Karen, but more like a social disease rather than an individual, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do say that as human beings, we were at our most healthiest when there was rationing during the war.
Mm.
Because all
Imagine.
the, all the nice naughty things, if you like,
Yeah.
were treats. And
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with my partner about Christmas, and all the things that we sort of like considered luxury as kids, like sweets throughout the day, nice cakes and things like that. We would have them at Christmas, like mince
Mm.
pies, Christmas cake, things like that. Or
And
we'd
fizzy
have
drinks.
chocolates all day long on Christmas Day. And you
Yeah.
never had that
No.
during when every day. You might get the odd Milky Way or something like that. But now everything is just in abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people just go out and get what they
Every
want.
day, isn't it? And it's so
Yeah,
fast and everyone, I
Yeah.
think nowadays we're so used to having everything on demand, aren't we? With everything, that would be
yeah,
TV, like
exactly.
shopping, online, everything's just on demand and we can just get things quickly. And we don't sort of appreciate that sort of gradual pace of life and the giving ourselves that balance of things,
Mm,
do we?
mm,
Because it's so fast and
mm.
yeah.
Well, you're a different generation to us, Kiri, so I'm
Mm.
sure you won't remember this, but in our day, Karen, didn't we? We used got an old sock that had a tangerine in, nuts, and apple and various little healthy things. It was never greeted with like they are nowadays, a selection box, of chocolate
Yeah.
for breakfast.
Oh
Yes, I must
no.
admit, I can remember sort of being allowed to open sweets and things sort of at 10 o'clock in the morning, which would never be allowed.
Mm.
But there you go. But this is interesting what James has said here. When I was diagnosed with my brain tumor, my strength and determination came from realizing that it could have taken me away from the people I truly love and care about. That thought frightened me more than death itself. I laughed all the way to the theatre because I wanted my laugh and smile to be the last thing my family experienced. If anything had gone drastically wrong, I didn't want them thinking I was scared. My strength came from them. That's wow, James, I have to
That's
say.
beautiful, truly beautiful.
Absolutely
That's
beautiful.
incredible. And actually, scientifically, laughing and smiling actually does wonders for stress and the immune system. So you never know, that could have actually helped him with his operation, because it would have given him all those good hormones, like to
The
help with
serotonin and all
yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah.
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 That's wonderful. I do know a lot of people, you know, in my family that they always put on the brave front, and they always want their children, especially if they've got grandchildren or whatever, you know, to see them laughing, to see them smiling. It's obviously a strong thing there. Trevor says disease is not connected to illness. If you break it down, it becomes disease, suggesting that your body isn't comfortable with what it is experienced. So if you have trouble with your eyes, it's because you don't want to see or something. Possibly, yeah. I mean, I have heard that. What about, have you
Yeah.
heard that, Kiri and Chris?
I've heard it, and you know, it's a difficult one, Trevor, and
Yeah,
it really is a difficult one, because I had a sister that went through cancer, she had breast cancer first, and then got over that, and then got the second bout, and obviously we lost her. And we tried looking at it from that perspective as well. And I have to say, when you're going through it, it is difficult to try and
yeah,
see it from that angle. It really is,
Mm.
because my sister was a really kind person, and, really looked after the family. She was
yeah.
like the cornerstone of the family, so I came to the view that maybe she was taken from us for us to rely on ourselves, trying to
Mm.
look at it as another angle.
Possibly, or
Yeah.
it can be, you know, the physical body is physical, and sadly sometimes things go wrong that are out of our hands. Some people are born with things that just happen.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
we have a in my family, we have a genetic condition that affects the eyes, funny enough, with Trevor just saying that, and it runs through the family. I've got it, my nephew's got it, I've got it, and my son's got it. So it is that, and it can affect your sight. So and you have to wear sort of glasses at certain times, and as you get older, it can get worse, but we just sort of live with it. You know, we live with it, and we just get on with our lives every day, and it's just part of who we are. It's, you know, the imperfections that we have sometimes that we
But I
have to,
agree with Linda here. I fully agree with this. Cooking fresh food, like we did in the older days,
yeah,
because a lot of these go-to meals were just ready to put in the oven or the microwave. They have so many additives in, things that I don't even understand. I was a chef. Yeah.
Mm.
Hmm. So,
mm,
so Richard was just telling about a study that came on earlier this year about how these processed foods are, affecting our health. And, years ago, I was saying, because I was a trained chef, years ago, I used to say processed foods, I'm sure, will be connected to cancer, and I was
mm,
saying this years ago,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
It's a balance, isn't it? Because obviously we're not gonna, well, some people might not want to completely not have processed foods, but it is that balance, isn't it? Have, my mum always says, a little bit of everything in moderation. That's what my mum
yeah,
always says. So that's to do with exercise, you know, drinking, if you do drink, like food, few little sweet things, but it's all in moderation, isn't it? And not like an
It
abundance,
is.
like Karen was saying, of everything.
Well, I don't
very
think we
true.
understand what moderation is anymore, do we? So,
Yeah.
you know?
That's yeah, that could be true sometimes, Chris. I agree with you there. But I mean, in my house, and I make people laugh when I share this story. You know, my mum was a good cook, like, you know, my mum was in catering like you, Chris. And so everything was always cooked from scratch. We didn't have any bought cakes. We didn't have any, you know, she made pies, she made everything from scratch, you know. Whereas, you know, some of my friends, they were moving into that where they buy the cakes from the shop and things like that. So for me, I used to like going to my friends' houses because I'd have the little fondant fancies and jam tarts. And it's only now when I look back that, and I said to my mum once, why can't we have shortcakes like everybody else? And it must have crucified her, it must have hurt her so much, me saying that as a child. And I didn't realise what I'd got. And yet all my friends used to want to come to my house for my mum's cooking. So what, it's life is always greener on the other side of the fence sometimes, but
But
I
in
must admit
defense of your
now,
mother here as well, when you do cooking for a job, sometimes all you want to do is just reach for something in the cupboard or the freezer. So you don't have to. It's like the busman's holiday. But having
yeah,
said that, just lately I've gotten back to the old way of cooking, and
yeah.
Sarah actually loved it, which was a chocolate cake that I made 2 weeks ago, and I didn't use butter in it. I used a little bit of olive oil, and I cooked
Ah,
down the sugar and everything. And it want, do you know something? It was the best cake I'd ever tasted, if I say so myself.
all right. We're all going round to Chris's
Lovely.
later then for a cake.
So
That's
just to let the
fantastic.
viewer know, Karen, that we've got 5 minutes, a few minutes, well, 4 minutes now or so before we do our 1 minute silence, just to make you all aware if you've just joined us.
Yes, we're going to have the 1 minute silence today to remember those that have fallen in war, because it is that remembrance time as well, which is important. It's important for us all to remember those that have fallen, those that lost their lives in service,
Mhm.
for others. Good morning, Tony. Nice to see you again.
Karen, and there was a message from Jessica about dopamine levels and how everything's so quick on social media, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah,
Yes, I think
yes, sure.
dopamine is all messed up for a lot of
Um,
people. I found out one time that dopamine comes too quickly now versus before when it was delayed after putting work in. Like now with social media and even TV, there's too fast dopamine, which isn't natural for the body. Yeah, I was going to talk about all the distractions that we have, not, as well as the food, there's so many distractions in life, whereas we're getting sort of stressed and running around and chasing our tails. Um, but I must admit, I think as you get older, you start to appreciate things more.
Mm.
I think that that's important as well. Do you
But
agree,
For,
Chris, on that one?
oh yeah, I do. For me, this fast dopamine thing, I think it induces a lot of stress
Yeah,
rather than gratification. You
mm,
know, I think for me, like it's the simple things that give me more pleasure than, just seeing a tree in autumn color. You
yeah,
know, I think
yeah.
this quick gratification can stress our lives out, which will impact our health again.
and
Mm.
we don't like with TV series, they're all available online, aren't they? You can just keep watching one after the other, whereas like I'd say 10, 15, 20 years ago, you'd have to wait a week to watch the
Yeah.
next one. And it was exciting, wasn't it? And then you appreciated, that moment of watching that TV rather than having it instant all the time.
Yes,
Yes,
I am
definitely.
guilty of binge watching a box set on Netflix, I have to say.
I love waiting a week for the next episode if it's on the telly and not on the series. That's what I love.
I'm with Kiri. You'll be with Sarah here. God, don't come to our house with Sarah. We had to, the lockdown. We watched the whole, was it 15 series of Grey's Anatomy. By the end, I was absolutely, oh.
Oh, do you know what, Sarah and I love Grey's Anatomy. We're on season 21 now, and I absolutely love
Yeah,
it. But we have to wait. We have to wait each week for Grey's Anatomy. But yeah, I love a
yeah.
box set. I'm on The Resident now. I'll have to tell her about The Resident.
Oh God, don't tell her that to be another one. We're still trying to get through Chicago Fire. So, but
Oh
so
dear.
Hello,
we have
Rebecca.
got just 60 seconds left, people, before we go into our 1 minute silence for Armistice Day to remember not just the people who've fallen in the great wars, but also those things that have come after that as well. And I'm sure we've all got people in the family somewhere back, haven't we, Karen, where
Yes,
they
definitely.
have
Yeah,
given that sacrifice.
yeah.
So Neil can make a cake. You make me one first.
No, I think he's asking you to make him a cake.
Yes, I know. That's why I said make it me one first.
I wish I could make cakes. They always never rise. I can never do them.
Okay, so we will now go into our 1 minute silence, which is just a few seconds away.
Thank you, everybody. It was quite interesting as we did that. I could hear the bells in my own village church. So it was quite poignant there that we did that. So thank you, everybody. Yes,
Yeah, thank you all.
yes. Margie's got a comment here. I think too that there is a lot more work than play and stress, having to work more for the cost of living with just bare necessities. I think we hold stress, anxiety, and worry in our bodies, and that too makes us ill. We never forget to connect to we forget to connect to nature and Mother Earth that holds the vibration that humans need. Everything in excess and everything in moderation is out the window. Yes.
Mm. We're
Yeah, I
taught
agree
from
with
a
that.
very early age, aren't we, to be productive members of society. I'm all for that, but not when it's just about making money for yourself and for others, the tax. You know, sometimes it's a little bit more than just making money, isn't that?
Mm. Yeah, definitely. We need to slow down. It's to appreciate life. Have you found, Kiri, that listening to having all the people that you've had on, how long have you been doing this, and has it changed your life, listening to people's stories over the time?
Yeah, I think so because it just makes you think and you research all the different. I've learned so much because I've been researching all these different conditions and what people go through, and then also how people can manage their situation. So you do learn a lot, and then hopefully, put that into your own life as well. So yeah, definitely do learn a lot. Um, but with what Margie was saying about the stress and working and you do hear that a lot on the podcast. A lot of people use work as a distraction as well, don't they? And they put too much into it in a way. But yeah, the cost of living, like when I was growing up, you only had maybe one parent working,
Yeah.
didn't you? And then now, for me, I've got kids and a husband, and we both work, and many of our family and our friends with children, both parents are working. House prices have gone up, haven't they? So then you can't
Yeah.
just do it on one person's income, unfortunately, now. So yeah, that's going to be a factor, definitely.
Yes.
I certainly feel sorry for people buying their houses now. I mean, my first house only cost me 22,000. That wouldn't even buy your garden shed now.
No, it
So,
wouldn't. In certain areas, I know it varies, doesn't it? In the different places that you live in the UK and the world,
Mm.
what you can get in some places you can't get in others, and that's just the way it is. I just want to tell everybody what's going to be coming up this week. We've got Claire Pasterfield tonight at 7 o'clock with her show. We've got a very busy week, everybody. So it's a good week to stay tuned to SPTV. On Tuesday, we have Ashley Robinson at 7 o'clock. And Wednesday, we have Jordan Richards with his show. Thursday, we have Ashley Oliver at 7. And later on today, we have a little something new that Richard's created, but we're going to have more about that. We're going to have more about that later on. But just keep your questions coming for Kiri. If there's anything that you've got, or there's an interesting story or something that you've overcome, let us know. So when is your podcast on, Kiri? Where is it on Facebook? Is it on YouTube? Where
Yeah, so I do it
where can they
monthly.
find you?
Yes, I do it monthly. You can go on to, there's lots of different podcast platforms. So on your, on your phone, on the apps that you get, there's a podcast app.
Yeah.
So it might be on there. What were the different ones called? Overcast, that's a good app. You can find them. Spotify, Apple. And I do put some clips on YouTube as well, and some clips on Instagram.
Because the podcasts are different from YouTube, and the sort of the stories you get on Facebook. It's a little bit, it's slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on a different platform. It's on the podcast apps rather than the social media apps. But we put like clips of it on the social media apps as well.
Mm. Mm.
But yeah, you can search anywhere.
Do you listen to podcasts, Chris? Is that do you listen to them sometimes?
I've been on plenty, but I've never listened to them. Sorry, I'm going. I don't know, but like you, but like yourself, I'm just too busy. I've
Yeah.
got so much more, such things. And
Yeah.
now that also I've been, I wrote a book which took all my time, and then I've just been signed by a publisher to write some more books. So again, more of my time's now going to be taken up. So it's hard to find it, but I've got a good friend who does a podcast, and I try and do little snippets if I can for do that. So please forgive me, Kiri, but I will try and listen to now that I know where you are, and
It's hard to fit it in though, isn't it? I sometimes listen to them on a walk, or because I work for myself, I've got my own business, so often I'm sat there doing emails, and then I might listen to different podcasts then. But I do think when I'm on a walk, I do question whether I should be listening to a podcast actually, because what we were saying about, someone mentioned the comment about nature, and if you're walking around in nature, you actually want to be present in that walk, don't you? So
100%.
I do question whether that is the right thing to do.
Yes, I think you should, because you're not present in that moment. You're missing the birds, you're missing the connections. Even the sense of smell goes because you're focusing on that. So I think nature gives us what we were talking about, all this stress, and that, I think that's one way that it combats all of that and brings in dopamine in a different level, but which is more calming.
Otherwise it's too much information. Like you think, oh, podcasts are really good because you're learning this, that, and the other. But again, it's that lots of information, isn't it, that you're giving yourself.
Well, if it was me, I'd be taking the wrong turn somewhere and end up somewhere else because I'd be too focused listening in that. So
we've had some comments come up. We've had some comments come up here. Michelle says, I was diagnosed with a heart condition during pregnancy and was told I shouldn't continue with the pregnancy as I may not survive. But I was visited by a family member who had passed a spirit, and she told me I would be fine. My daughter is now 30. That's a lovely story, Michelle, but as mediums, we do have to be careful with sort of passing on that information, because yes, your story was a lovely ending, but as a medium, that's something that I would not,
I don't think she was saying she got it from a medium. I think she got it in a dream. I think she was probably trying to say she was visited by a spirit.
Oh, right. Okay. So I missed. So well, that's
good.
a lovely thing
That's
to
brilliant.
happen. But as mediums, we have to be careful of that. I was touching on that on my circle last week about sort of predictions and things like that. So we do have to be careful there.
Yeah, in the code of ethics, we don't give illness, we don't give deaths,
right.
or counselling or anything like that.
Yeah, because it's not our place. Helen's just mentioned about some people on their own are really struggling on one income. Some are not managing to put food on the table and are losing their homes. Lives are tough. Yes, they are. Helen, you also mentioned a comment about life in the 1940s and 50s. And what's I love the era of the 1940s and 50s and reenact and dance the era back in the day. Everyone helped each other, came together as one big family. There wasn't much around, but everyone managed. Today is so different. People feel they can't do without, but back then they just got on with it. Do you know what? That's interesting, Helen, because I did a service on Sunday. And part of the service, Kiri, is where we do a little bit of philosophy. So the mediums give a talk. And during my talk, I actually touched on the stories that my mum and dad used to tell me about the war. And my mum was, she was, she was very young. She was in her sort of late teens, early 20s during the war. And she had a full-time job that she did during the day. She drove an ambulance in the evenings and she would pick up people and take them to hospital if they'd been bombed or anything like that. And she would also, but then the rest of the time when she had time, she danced the night away with friends and dates and soldiers. So, she lived her life to the full. And she did say to me that it was the best of times and the worst of times because people came together. So everything you're saying there, Helen, is very true, and that's what my mum told me about her life. I think she gave my nan a few grey hairs because apparently my mum was never in when the raids were on. She was either driving the ambulances or kicking her heels somewhere in a on a dance floor somewhere. That's sort of like how she lived her life at
I
that
think in
time.
that era as well, I think you both agree. We go into this recycling, don't we? Like it's something new.
Yeah,
But in that era, that's what they did. Make do and mend. They were the great recyclers, weren't they, of that, of all time, really.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that coming together as one big family, again, that's different now, isn't it? Because people, unfortunately, we don't all live in the same villages, and they say it takes a village to raise a child, but
Yes.
people just move. I don't know what it is, but we don't seem to be living in the same town that we grew up in. I don't know
yeah,
why. I don't live near my mum. Me and my husband live in Bournemouth, and my mum lives in Brighton, and his mum lives in Cornwall. So I don't know, we're traveling more, aren't we? We're going to uni
yeah,
for a field, and then yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
So having that support network and that family, we're missing a little bit, I think, aren't we, nowadays?
And because we're in the
absolutely.
pursuit of the next best TV or the next car, I think it makes us very secular, doesn't it, really? We start thinking just about ourselves rather than those around us or the
Yeah.
wider community itself, which is such a great shame, really.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I mean some people move around for their job as well. That was definitely the case with my family. We moved around a lot because of work. So yes, I think it depends. And then I think because you've always done that, it becomes just the way you are. You travel, you settle quickly. Whereas some people love to be in the place where they were born, where they grew up, where they got married, and you get people that maybe only move a mile away from where they were actually born. But because of work and things like that, people do travel more. You
Yeah.
know, when people left, I think back in the 60s to go to Australia, and we thought that we'd never see them again, but and you only had letters or the odd phone call. But now, of course, technology has helped that because you've got the video calls, you've got planes that can get you there within a few hours. So the world has become a much smaller place in some regards of distance and connection, but it's also become sometimes we don't always connect with our neighbours like we used to. So
Yeah.
it's a contradiction sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah. Jane has just said here, my daughter's health conditions, asthma and eczema, and has to have blood tests every 3 months to keep an eye on her thyroid, and has stomach problems, which she's waiting to have a camera in December. She is so strong and a happy, lovely girl. Oh, that's lovely, Jane. Yeah. Sometimes when you go through some tough times. Um, so there you
Yeah, and Trevor, knowledge is something you learn. Wisdom is something you just know. Yeah, quite agree with that. Very powerful statement. You know, that knowing comes from
It is.
it comes from a deeper sense, doesn't it? You know?
Trevor is he definitely loves to give us our little thought for the day, as does Kelly. Dream it, create it. I like that, Kelly. That's a good one.
Yeah, love that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think so much we're chasing. I don't know if you've done a podcast on this or anything like that, but we're so much always chasing what we want for the future that I think we're in very real danger that we forget what we have in the present,
Hmm.
you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do need to live in the present more, don't we? We're always chasing for the next thing. Then we get there and then we don't settle. We just chase for the next level all the time, don't we? And that happens across
Mm.
lots of things in life. But yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And as we know that sometimes that want doesn't next necessarily give us what we need,
No.
That's very true. That is very true. Yes. And
you
Richard's
know?
just said the voice from above, because we always want to achieve. Yes. And I think, do you think that's sort of ingrained in us, um, when we're younger, or is it something we learn along the way? What are your thoughts on that, you two? What do you think about that?
Kerry?
I think everyone's different. Do you think everyone is the same? Do you think everyone's like that? Or does it depend on personality?
I think it depends on personality, but I think it also depends on society in a way. Because if you think about the work ethic, I can remember, when I first went to work, it was like, well, you go to work, you do your job, you know what your job is, you do it to the best of your ability, you give 110% because that's who you are. But then they started to bring in things like appraisals and, so what do you want to achieve in the next 10 years? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? So that gets your mind thinking that that's what we're meant to do in some
Mhm.
ways.
Don't talk about appraisals. When I worked for the government, my God, that was their hottest thing ever. But I'm going to say here, I don't know about you two, but I think it starts quite early on at school
Mm,
because we start to talk to think, what is it we want to do? Instead of enjoying our childhood and the school
mm,
years, what are we wanting to do, career-wise going forward? So what lessons should we tail into that, And I think really we need to teach our children to how to enjoy life, how to be present in that, how to understand their own workings of their own mind and their
yeah.
own body, so that there would be less of this body dysmorphia, because that's a very real danger
Mm.
to me.
Oh, wow. That's a new one.
That's quite powerful. Richard has just told us about a young lad that had done something wrong, and his parents grounded him outside. He had to go and play outside,
That was his
and, it,
punishment.
and that was a punishment, and he didn't know what to do. He wanted his iPad. Um, God, I couldn't wait to get out when I was a kid.
No, you did
Going
everything to
outside.
escape, didn't you?
It just goes to show how things
Amazing.
have changed. You've got kids, Kiri. Do you
Yeah.
find that
I was
things
going
have
to, I
changed?
wouldn't want to use that as a punishment because I'd want them to go outside. And my two do, luckily. I've got two boys. And where we live, we're lucky we've got like a little grass area, like a communal grass area. There's lots of houses nearby. And then actually it's quite old school. So all the kids play outside on the grass. They play football. Some of the neighbours get a bit annoyed though that they're playing outside, but there's only one actually. Most of the neighbours are happy that the kids are outside.
Yeah.
So yeah, luckily they always want to be outside, and then we've got a backyard where there's basketball, so then they sometimes play out the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're outside a lot because they're both really sporty, luckily. But we've always been sort of outdoory people. We cycle to school every day, and it's quite a journey. It takes us about 15. It's not just up the road; it's another sort of town away because we've moved.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I wouldn't want to give that as a punishment because I wouldn't want to see it as a negative.
No,
But I
No,
true.
suppose
no,
if you
that's
have
true.
then that's the way that you have to do it. If you want to get them outside, then yeah.
I think people nowadays are coming back to that, because when I look at my own sister's children's, and I can remember nearly shouting at my sister because of her son. They were talking 20 odd years ago, my nephew. He's he's actually on the computer talking to his friends, and they lived round the damn corner. So I said, why isn't he going out of his bedroom, walk around the corner and go talk to them face to face? But nowadays I think I'm hopeful. I'm starting to see it more and more that we're trying, that youngsters of your age, younger parents are now trying to encourage that a little bit more. So I live in hope,
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting, and Sam B has just said in Australia, at the moment the government is finally putting a ban on social media after 16-year-olds better than
I saw that on the
better
news
than
the
ever.
other day, actually.
Brilliant. Well, there is certain age restrictions for social media. So I think it's like age 13 for WhatsApp. I think it is 16 for certain social medias, but it's not really very well publicized. And all parents let the kids have these apps because all their friends have got it. So then as parents, we're like, oh well, all the other parents are doing it, so we would just do what everyone else is doing. So yeah, there does need to be more of an official regulation with it, definitely. So then we can all be on the same page. Like if there was a definite ban or a definite rule, then parents would be like, right, yeah, that is the rule and that's what we're going to stick by. But it's all a bit wishy-washy. That's hard at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, it is hard.
So it's time to go for a quick advert break. So roll it, Richard.
Help Spiritual Psychics TV grow our TikTok channel. Connect with us at sptv UK. We're on a journey to reach our next milestone, and we need your help. Follow us today and support us going live. Imagine getting personalised readings, discovering your card of the day, and so much more. Don't miss out on the opportunity to explore new adventures with us. Follow, engage, and transform. Join our growing community at Spiritual Psychics TV with @SPTV UK on TikTok.
Introducing the SPTV app, your digital spiritual guide for an enlightening journey like no other. Immerse yourself in a world of audio and visual content crafted to inspire, educate, and entertain. Seek guidance with our card of the day, choosing up to 6 cards for personal insights. Enhance your daily life with our wellness section, featuring nutritious recipes, affirmations, and balanced living tips. Explore our spiritualism section for a deep understanding of the religion, its principles, and spiritual answers. Unravel the secrets of the clairs and broaden your spiritual horizon. Easily find local readers, therapists, centers, or churches with our comprehensive directory. Stay connected with live broadcasts, check our schedule, and get to know our insightful presenters. Delve into the meanings of angel numbers, crystals, and a comprehensive list of divination meanings. All of this and more, available for free on the SPTV app. Download now at sptv.uk/app and start your journey with your digital spiritual guide.
Okay.
Welcome back.
There we are. That short ad break, we are back with you. And I understand we've got some comments that everybody's commented on the topics, which is absolutely wonderful. That's what it's about. So we're going to bring your comments up. So Jessica has just said here, I also think that there is like labels a lot of people put on others, like a child being a great singer. And this adds pressure as a society. I think we try to fit people into boxes rather than allowing them freedom. And this expresses itself through questions like, what do you want to do in your future? Jessica,
Absolutely.
I'm 110% on with you like that. I had this with my son. You know, I can remember his primary school. They kept trying to put him in a round peg in a square hole. And he's a very my William is a very sort of unique, quirky individual. And he's such a lovely lad. I mean, he's in his 30s now, but we struggled. I was always forever up at the school because they were saying to me, well, you know, William is not, they kept trying to make him an average child, and he isn't. He's his own person, and he had his quirky personality, but they didn't get him until he went into year 5, and he met this wonderful teacher called Mr. Pritchard that got William's personality, brought out his wonderful quirks into positive things. And this is where his love for theatre came, his love for acting as well. And that's what he does now. And you know, it was wonderful to see him developing confidence instead of to be self-conscious and shy because of who he was. So yeah, that's a big one for me. It's important that not everybody is going to be the same. Everybody has their own their own traits, their own personality to bring to the table. You know, it's important.
Good morning to the late joiners that have joined us. Nice to have you here with us. Yeah, I quite agree, Karen. I do think there's so much pressure put on teaching today, isn't it, that they can't really identify, for me, those people that need a little bit extra help or a little extra guidance, and they just don't have the
Yes.
time, do they? I mean,
No.
Perry said it's important not to discourage or scold a child for being a natural child example, then playing in the mud or things they are using their hands, minds, and soul to learn from, and they enjoy. Yeah, that's it. I mean, when we were kids, my God, the first thing you did was got dirty and
Yeah,
muddy it up.
absolutely. Yeah.
Nowadays, I don't think I ever see a child get with a muddy knee, let alone a muddy shirt.
I was forever sort of I was a bit accident prone, me. I also sort of had scabs on my knees where I'd fallen over or whatever. And we used to I think someone said earlier about collecting things to make crafts. It was James Wheatley, and you know, we used to go out and pick up branches and flowers and sort of like put the buttercup under your chin to see if you like butter, and we used to make mud pies and all sorts of things, you know, outside
Yeah.
and playing in the sand pit and swinging on tires. I mean, it sounds like I was a wild child, but I wasn't, because that's what we did.
It's normal.
It was normal.
Yeah, it
Exactly.
was normal. We all did it. It was all the same. I mean, Helen's made a very valid point here that families moan that they can't afford to take their children to places. Well, we've got all those natural outdoors and those beautiful wonders that, we used to just
Oh, I think you've paused there,
have a
Chris.
picnic, a couple of sandwiches and a bag of crisps.
Yeah.
Sorry, we used to have a wonderful picnic, a couple of sandwiches, bag of crisps, and we were off near a lovely little canal or some field where near a woods, or, and we just enjoyed and played and, played in the local cornfield, much to the farmer's disgust. But, there were these things we made. We played cowboys and Indians with sticks. We didn't
Yeah.
need the whole setup. I don't know about you, Kiri. Did you have these kind of experiences growing up as well?
Yeah, well, I was the only child, so I remember being really imaginative with what I did we did have a telly, so yeah, I used to be in the garden and I used to make little games and then invite people around my house and yeah, just make things. I remember, yeah, we definitely didn't have a telly until a bit later on. Yeah, I know that. And in terms of the kids getting muddy, yeah, definitely. I took my youngest to rugby yesterday, and he got muddy enough as it was at rugby. And then right at the end, he did a big knee slide, so he was covered in mud. Then you just get in the bath, don't you?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Lorna Harper. Hello, Lorna. Lovely to see you. I know Lorna, she lives in lovely Scotland. COVID opened up a world for people with mobility problems. For that purpose, it is fantastic, but do not like seeing youngsters glued to iPads, etc. Absolutely, Lorna. Yes, I agree. I agree with you. But I know that you get out and about as much as you can. But Zoom and technology has been a savior for you. I do know that. But it's good that people can get out and see the world and understand, you know, where we're from and what and how we used to live as well.
Mhm.
Do you remember that program, Chris? I think I've mentioned this before, how we used to live. It used to be a TV program they showed in schools, going back in.
Oh yeah, they took didn't they take half a dozen children and then they filmed them when they were kids and then 20 years later and so on.
Oh,
Is
that
it that
was
it?
no, that was Seven Up. Uh,
Ah,
Oh,
that
that was
that
interesting. Yeah.
that was a good
that
series.
was.
That was the Seven Up.
Yeah.
That started in 1964. They got kids at 7, and then they did it every 7 years. And I think the last one they did was a couple of years ago when they were now in their 60s. So it was really quite an 60s or 70s, I think they are now. But it was an interesting how they all changed, because I think it was Socrates that said, "Give me a child of 7, and I'll show you the man." And it was based on that.
Mhm.
And I think I started watching it when the kid when they're from about when they were about 21, and how they, and they got people from different backgrounds as well, so working class, middle class, and upper class as it was then, and how society's changed, and they sort of said, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, well, one guy said, well, I want to be a jockey, and if and when I've done that, I'll be a taxi driver. And that's exactly what he did.
Mhm.
And then there was a lot of pressure put on sort of like the upper class kids. Oh, well, I suppose I'll go to Eton and then I'll go to Cambridge because that's what my father did. So it was that, following in your father's footsteps and all sorts of things like that. And there was
Mm.
one lady, that one little girl, when she was 7, she says, I want to work in Woolworths because that's where they sell all the pick and mix.
That's lovely. I mean, Neil came on before and said he understood the program you were talking about, so at least
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So yeah, because he said he remembered that,
He
Karen.
remembers that, yeah. But we used
Yeah.
to, but that other program we used to watch was an informative program about how people lived in sort of like years gone by.
Mhm.
And I loved watching that because I was always interested in how people lived sort of in the 1800s and 1940s and things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting what you remember. It really
With
is.
Margie, I quite agree that playing outside does minimize stress and builds the immune system as well. I mean, I remember my sister, it was a disgusting habit. I always hated it. But she used to put worms in her mouth, poor worms,
Yeah,
when I was when they were little kids, or pull the legs off flies and stuff. But she,
yeah.
but it was, but that's the things kids did, didn't it? That's how we learned the world, about the
Mm,
world, and that's how we
mm.
strengthened our bonds and that connection to the world as
Absolutely.
well.
Jane's just said that she remembers that program, but I can always remember the boy next door, Chris. He loved all the worms and everything. And I just got an ice cream from the ice cream man when he came round, and he put a worm in my ice cream because his mum wouldn't let him have one, so he dropped a worm in mine. And I went and I cried and I chucked my ice cream everywhere. I always remember that.
Oh
Horrible
well.
child.
As you can see, Kiri, she was very deprived.
There was a
Oh,
comment a couple of comments ago about anxiety and children. I thought it was interesting, and being outside,
mm,
because you do wonder, don't you, because like kids aren't outside as much. And there was another comment about kids on iPads when they're out and about, like you do see them on iPads like in restaurants,
yes.
and and because there's an increased amount of anxiety, isn't there, and things in children. You do wonder whether that is down to technology and children being not as outside as much.
Well, when we were
Yes.
younger, we never heard of children having
No.
anxiety, stress, mental
Mm.
health problems. I'm
Yeah.
sure there was some around, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is nowadays, that they've become so on their own, and in their own little world and their own little bubble. And I'm sure you're absolutely right that living through technology is not living at all.
Because social connection is so good for our immune system as well, isn't it? Having that conversation. I mean, even if it is online, but definitely face-to-face social connection, it's really good for our stress levels. And they say as we get older, that is going to help improve our health and dementia as well as you get older, having that social connection.
Yeah, we need that interaction. We need that personal touch as well. Even a touch of somebody, just putting your hand on the shoulder, really lifts them, and we can't do that through social media, I'm afraid.
Hugs.
No.
Well,
Yes, hugs as well.
It is, and talking of interaction, it's good to sit down and talk to people face to face, but it's also good to talk to our loved ones from the spirit world. So it might be the appropriate time, Chris, for you and I to maybe do a couple of readings for people, because I think people have been asking for a few readings. So Trevor, I'll just mention Trevor's comment here: blowing on a dandelion seed, head and hugging a tree, a walk by the sea can clear the mind. Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, I love that. Do you remember blowing those seeds just to see? And what was the little ditty we used to say, or the little rhyme?
Oh,
I've
I can't remember
forgotten.
now, but we used to say something, and there used to be sort of like, we used to get, he loves me not, he loves me.
That's it. He loves me not. Yes, I remember that. Oh my God.
I did that.
Going back, that's showing our age here, Kiri.
Oh, I know. We keep doing this, Chris. We keep showing our age, but do we care? No.
No, listen, I'm glad to have got to this age, wrinkles and all. So, from that.
Absolutely. So we're gonna do a couple of readings, and then we'll carry on with the chat. And then of course we've got that little special segment that Richard has got in store for us as well, which is quite exciting. So do you want to go first, Chris, or do you want me to go first this morning? How do you want to do it?
Ladies first.
Oh, ladies first. Pardon? All right, okay. So Kiri's just left us for a little while, so we're just gonna do some readings while we interact with your loved ones from the spirit world. Now, I'm actually aware of a lady that draws close to me, and she's been with me for about a couple of minutes because she was laughing because of the memory of the dandelion seed, and also picnics as well. So I feel that she wants to connect with somebody here that would remember that, where she would do that with you. And I feel that she would sort of, she taught you to do the blowing of the dandelion seed. And also I feel that this lady was very much aware of the nature around her. And I feel here she's taking me to a beautiful meadow which was close to where she lived. It was sort of like a lovely meadow of a field of meadow flowers at the back. So I feel that this lady lived in sort of like rural conditions. She's making me feel here that she's mum. And I also feel that she was a little bit of a quirky mum, shall we say. So I feel that she loved things natural, and I feel she was a little bit ahead of her time with her thinking as well. And this is what she's making me aware of. And I feel that she sort of she was a very principled lady. She spoke her mind. And I feel here that she would have loved the outdoors and would have quite often taken whoever I'm with out walking. I feel you walked quite a lot when she was around. And I also feel here that she sang, she loved music, she loved to sing. And I feel that she's sort of walking along, swinging your arms as you walked along. And but she's just but I feel there was times in her life where she sort of like suffered with her health, and I feel that she sort of sometimes spiraled a little bit. So I do feel there could have been some anxiety or mental health with her. and she would sort of speak her mind, and I feel that sometimes she would get herself into trouble for that. But I do know that when you were, whoever I'm with, when you were growing up, that she was sort of like the light in your life. And I do feel here that she was a very, very strong character. Right, then like when sang with, so Helen can understand this. Okay. Helen, can you understand also about sort of spiraling out of control? There was a time when she wasn't very well, where things uh got a little bit hard for her, where she got a little bit angry. This is what she's making me aware of. I've also got in my head now the song Whistle While You Work from the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So I feel here that that film or something would be connected, Whistle While You Work, and hi ho, it's off to work we go. So I just feel here that she's bringing reference to that film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I also feel that she had chest issues to do with her heart as well, because I feel it's like an arrhythmia. So I feel here that there's issues with her heart as well. You have, I feel, Helen, a lovely, beautiful photograph of her, if I am with you. And it's sort of like a head and shoulders shot. And she's got a really lovely smile. And I want to say, if I am with you, that as you're getting older now, there are similarities between the two of you. If you can let me know if this still makes sense to you, Helen, or if anybody else can understand this. I feel also that towards the end of her life, she couldn't go out as much, which was sort of like heartbreaking to her. It upset her that she couldn't go out, because I do feel that there was issues with her legs. Just let me know if this is still making sense. I feel that she wants to reach out because she said that you appreciate how things used to be. That right? Oh, so Lorna can understand this as well. Okay. So would you understand the appreciation of life and appreciating what you have in life as well? And I also feel here that she's trying to sort of I feel that she pushed you when you were younger about being true to yourself and following your dreams. Now, okay, Helen or Lorna, would you understand here about something to do with writing and drawing? Because I just feel something about writing in particular. So I feel that she encouraged you to write stories. And I feel that you sort of like created stories here. If that makes sense to whoever, either Helen or Lorna, that's who I feel that I'm with. And also that you have a ring. I want to say an engagement ring. I feel that there's we used to sing going to picnic as there were lots of us. Okay. Lorna, I do feel right. I do feel drawn. I know that you draw, Lorna. I have seen your drawings, but I didn't know about the writing. But it was the writing that that she wants you to focus on. Now, I do feel that you have there's something about writing your story, Lorna, that she's talking about. You have an interesting story to tell. So I'm going to work with Lorna here because I do feel particularly drawn to Lorna. So Lorna, would you understand where you've been thinking about writing a story or writing down things that have happened to you, like a story of your life or something similar to that? I just feel that is something, and you have one of her rings. Brilliant. Okay. And I just feel there's something about writing your story because I feel she wants to still all right, lovely. Well, this is what she's talking about here. She wants you to continue with this because it's important. She says you have a story to tell, and she's saying that she loves how she's laughing because she's saying you're as feisty as me now. You know, when somebody gets your goat, or when you get passionate about something, you speak your mind. And I feel that there's definitely traits of her in you, especially as you're getting older. She's laughing about this. Would you also understand, Lorna, that you have a bracelet that belongs to her, or something in memory of her? I feel it's something to do with like a crystal or a bead bracelet that is in memory of her. And she's also talking about needlepoint. So I feel that she was very good at needlepoint as well. And she's referring here to that I feel that there is a painting. Right. Okay, brilliant. You can understand that. There is a painting that you have that is of where she used to live. It's of the village or the town and the outskirts. It's like there's the little village in the middle, and there's hills and trees all around her. So I feel that there is a painting of that she had of where she used to live. And I feel that there's still strong family connections there. And I just feel she loved where she lived, and she loved being again outside, fresh air. She's also taking me to the coast as well. So I feel that there are connections with the coast. And I feel that I feel she just lived her life the way that she wanted to. And oh, she was good at sewing. That's brilliant. But beautiful fine stitches, I want to say. She was a perfectionist, and she's laughing because she's saying that that's where you get it from. Now I do know that you're a perfectionist, but I just feel she's laughing about that because she's saying that's where you get it from. There is a very strong that's strong in the female line, she's saying, about the perfectionist, about being organized, about being methodical. She says we have to be, because the men in our lives are not always that way. And she's not saying they're not providers or anything like that, but I just feel that she says you come from a long line of very determined, strong female characters, because that's how we were brought up, because of sort of wartime conditions, because I feel that the men went away in the town or the village. Ah, there is a picture her dad, my granddad, drew. Okay, that's lovely. That's lovely. But I just feel that she's talking about women coming together during tough times and helping each other and being there for people. And she said we would always sit and sew and talk about life and share how we were feeling. And she's saying this is something that you've been thinking about getting a group together, about sort of coming together and sharing life experiences. And she's just coming to give you a lot of love, Lorna. So take her love, and thank you for working with me.
Sorry. Did you just speak then, Richard? I'm sorry, I have to.
He did. He did. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. So as I link here to the spirit, well, I'm really overcome by emotions here, because I know that I want to connect with the youngish man. And I know as I bring this young man through, it's talking about you going through a lot of emotions at the moment in remembering him and remembering those people in the spirit world. And I know that I'm talking to I want a lady here as he talks about this, and I'm talking about mom. I do feel with this young man that there would have been health issues. I know that I want to go to my mind as well, as though there could have been things going on in his mind too, yeah, as well as you yourself going through that. And he strikes me as even though there were these issues, there was such a happy person. He could smile, and that's that lovely. And I want to talking about that the smile he had as a baby, how he was always laughing. He was always have a chuckle, and he would always, bring that beautiful, I keep seeing this lovely O-shaped mouth here as he's showing me here as a baby. and how beautiful and precious that he was here to you. But I want to also bring in Mother as well at this same time, because I know Mother's here with him in the spirit world, and there would be this memory of a lovely shopping bag. It looks like a weave, a rattan, I don't know, whatever it is that you would have called it. Sorry, I'm just a man, I don't know these things. But it looks like some sort of weave there too. And I know that on this side of the bag, as she shows me, there would have been a beautiful flower, just the bloom part of the flower that was on this bag here. With this lady, I do feel too with Mother here that she would have found things quite difficult, but yet what a strong and independent person. And I know as she talks here to her daughter, she was saying how alike we were, that you were kind of a little bit, a little bit of a mini me in a way, that come on, let's get on here, let's get you know let's let's just take off for the day, and I just feel that I want memories of the summertime, the lovely floaty dress that she would be wearing, and you would be the same, and she'd have this bag with her, you'd have this bag as well. And I want to talk about the memories of going off to see the seaside or the sea, and just taking ourselves off for that day, and the memories of just sitting down, having an ice cream, and just enjoying. Sorry, Richard, no response. Okay, so if this resonates or any part of it resonates with you, please let me know. But um, coming back to Mother here, she talks about having to make a tough decision, or making tough decisions that actually, I do believe, altered the course of your life as a family. I know that I felt like we possibly had to move away here and restart our life in some sort of way. I know that sounds dramatic, but talking about here that it was a very hard choice, a very difficult thing to do, and it was a tough time we had to go through, but eventually it paid off. It paid off, and it gave you, and possibly anybody around you here, a greater start in your adult life, finding your way, finding your way. And I know I want to talk about my angel, my angel. So I do believe that this would be a term that you could possibly use too. Does this resonate with anybody, or has everybody gone silent? No, I'm presuming. All right, well, we'll just carry on. Okay, we could be here for the long haul here, Karen. Yeah, okay. So I'll just give one more bit here too. I before I break this link here, I do feel I want to talk about the memories as well of collecting petals, just going round and collecting petals. And I want to put them in a jar here with a little bit of water, and just trying to extract that smell and the colours for it here. These were the simple things that we would have enjoyed, and I know that to be correct, because I'm seeing that the jam jar, seeing the lid going on, I'm seeing the various petals going in here, and trying to create that smell. And it's all about making the best of things, making the best of life, and going on that. And just before I finish this, how old would the young person be that you have in the spirit world? I'm sorry, I didn't get an age, but I just know I want somebody younger than me. So, um, I kind of feel that we're talking about junior years here for me. It does feel very junior. That's how they're coming. But Margie, it would have to, the rest would have to resonate as well, with you too. Um, and also this move from wherever you used to live to another place completely, felt like I was breaking away from the family. I was breaking away from the rest of the family and restarting over. That was the definite thing. And that's as much as I can go with that there here. So I hope that resonates with you, Margie. Sometimes it's just that difficult, isn't it? Sometimes it takes a little longer to type in, Karen.
It does, and also it could be, the spirit, this is the thing with the spirit world. It could be for somebody that views later. Kelly's just
Right.
said my family had to relocate, so and she can take it. So
Thank you, Kelly. Sometimes it's very hard because we think, this is wrong and we're going to break, but it's bearing with it and going with it because Spirit made that effort,
yes,
and so we've got to do our best, Karen, to put that across.
absolutely, absolutely.
To get away from my family was a hard decision. Right. Excellent. Okay.
Okay.
That would make that thing.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good point to bring Kiri back in, isn't it? Because I'm aware at 12:15 that Richard
Yes,
wants to bring his little
absolutely.
piece in.
So we're going to bring Kiri back in, and so that everybody can have a final chat with her and see if there's any more questions that you want to ask. So, Kiri, when is your next podcast? What's happening in that? Well, tell us what's going on. What have you got coming up that people can look forward to?
So I'm going to focus on the positive segment actually that I'm going to do for you, and I'm going to put that on the podcast. So I'm in the process of thinking of a name for it.
Right.
So when I do, I'll let Richard know, and then he can let you know. So I'm going to do that for a little bit. Yeah, and just sort of take lots of the different elements from the previous podcasts and incorporate that into the positive segment. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing. But you can still find it if you just type Kiri something on the podcast, and then it should come up. But I'll let you know. But there are lots. There's a nice back catalogue of the stories that you can look back on. So I'm just trying to think what we did this year. Oh, I did a yoga one. So someone that was sort of going through quite a difficult, hard time, then she found yoga, and then she's taught it to others, and she's a yoga teacher, and all the benefits that yoga has on people. And there was a meditation one, which was really interesting. And then a lady that suffers with psoriasis. I know there was one of the viewers mentioned that her daughter had eczema and asthma.
Yes.
So yeah, that might be one for her to look at. I know it's not the same, but it's a similar sort of skin disease and how she manages that condition. That was in August. And I did a dementia Alzheimer's one in September.
Wow.
Oh.
So yeah, that was and the importance,
they're things that people deal with, that they live with, which can be very debilitating. But what's going to happen is Kiri is going to do a little podcast for the show, just like Kate May does when she comes on with her tarot scope. So Kiri is going to be part of the show for a short, is it sort of 5 minutes or so segment that you're going to have? So she's going to have a short 5-minute segment as part of the show, and giving a positive outlook on life for people. So do we know when that's starting? Have you sorted out with the powers that be above, our Richard, to find out the date?
Is it next week, Richard? Yeah. So yeah, should be ready for next week. Then yeah, I'll just send. I haven't done it yet, but I'll send it through this week, and yeah, it'll be from next week onwards, and that'll be weekly.
Weekly. Oh, well, that'd be great.
Yeah, so is that right?
Richard, yeah. Having this.
Okay.
So that's something to look forward to next week. Kiri will be part of our show, so we're really, really pleased to have you on board with your positive outlook.
Thanks.
Welcome to it. So somebody, Kay was just was actually confirming what we just said in the thing. So thankfully, I'm happy about that. Well, Kiri, I was going to ask you here, with this podcast, was this something born out of the pandemic to help you? Because I was aware in the pandemic, there was a lot of things that came out, which were, for me, was a good thing because it gave a lot of help and inspiration to people. So was this something that drove you on this course, or was it something completely different?
Yeah, it might have been. So in the pandemic, I actually went back to teaching, and then I did some care work as well. So I suppose I've always had like something in me where I want to like give back to people. So I did that during the pandemic, and then yeah, it was after that. Then I thought about doing the podcast, and I love talking to people and interviewing people, and I just thought, oh, what is a good way to like as a way of giving back to people, and it's almost like yeah, something that I feel like yeah, it was my way of like giving back to the community in a way. So yeah, there was something in me that thought, right, this is the way to do it. And because I knew so many people that I thought, oh, they've got a story to share, they've got a story to share, and I had already like a bank of people in mind. So I thought that's a good starting point. And then yeah, it just developed from there, and it's endless because there's so many things out there to talk about in the calendar year. So
Brilliant. Well, our Trevor's got a little tip for you here. How about living to your best ability? So maybe that could be something in the show as well.
yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we can definitely do like a 5-minute thing on that. Yeah, there's with
Thank you, Trevor.
positivity.
Thank you, Trevor.
Yeah, there's lots of things to talk about. So I'll make a note of that one, Trevor.
I think it's like I know when during again going we're talking about the pandemic a bit today, but what I did is I got my circle group. We got together on Zoom, which was very alien to me, and now it's sort of every day in my life, Zoom. How things change. I always thought it was an ice lolly.
I remember those, the rocket ones.
Rocket one, whoosh! I used to love them. Good night, Kelly. Nice to have you with us. So it's interesting that that we can we can look at things in a different way, because I got my circle group to create little thoughts for the day. And every day on my page, and also the church that I was associated with, I'd put up thoughts and quotes for the day, just to get somebody to focus on something positive instead of all the news that was going on. So thank you, Trevor, because and we did get quite a bit of feedback about the positive quotes for the day that we did. And we just sort of like recreated them ourselves. But I know there's lots of sort of apps and things that you can get for quotes, but these came from us, which was more meaningful for the people that knew us. So we did that for a month or so, just to help really, because I think it's important. So yes.
And Helen says the pandemic opened our eyes to nature and the great outdoors, and taught us not to take things for granted, that life's worth living. Yeah, absolutely. I think it taught us so much. I mean, going back to the Zoom, I remember doing something on Zoom before the pandemic and saying, "Oh, this will never take off," and then of course I had ended up working on it all the way through the pandemic.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And it introduced us to greater things,
Yes, it did. It made and I think people did go out more. They were walking. Their poor dogs would walk their little paws off, weren't they? Because everybody was walking and just trying to get out and just trying to make sense of what was happening. And you'd see a friend and you just sort of like wave hello to them across the street and all things like that. It's interesting how it was, but we've gone back very quickly to how it used to be, don't you think? In some ways.
Do you think that, Kiri?
Well, yeah, I was going to say with the pandemic and the walking, we weren't allowed to travel too far, were we? So we were discovering things more locally. And well, even for me, there was a river across my road that I just used to think, oh, it's just a river. And when it was the pandemic, you just popped over the road and there was this lovely river that went on for ages, and there was lots of fields nearby. And yeah, we just used that because we weren't allowed to jump in the car. But I suppose, yeah, now we would jump in the car and go somewhere further afield to go out for the day, wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
Whereas
Yeah.
actually there's lots on our doorstep that we need to make the most of. I've just moved and there's some woods near me, so I do try and go there as much as I
Yeah.
can.
Mhm.
Yeah. It is
That's
making the most of things. And
Yeah.
very sorry to hear that, Melissa. She's saying that the pandemic took her dad.
It
So,
took so many people,
oh,
didn't
it
it,
did.
really? It
It
really
did.
did,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So there was always there was its negatives, but Sarah and I absolutely loved the pandemic. We had you've seen our garden, Karen, so we were just in our garden and we had these great walks around. It was wonderful. We were having lunches outside every day. It was, we found so for us it was like, pandemic? What pandemic?
Yeah. I mean, it made people appreciate what they had around them.
Absolutely.
In our family, I had 3 frontliners that were working during the pandemic. Mike, my partner, he was working for patient transport, so he was transporting people. My stepson, Peter, is a postman, so he was working for Royal Mail, and daughter-in-law Emma was working in Sainsbury's. So, 3 of them were on the front line, which was scary,
Yes.
And I was at home on Zoom doing services. But one of the good things, what happened during the pandemic, was I caught up with a friend that I'd not seen for years. My friend Neil Payne. And we hadn't seen each other for a long time. And then all of a sudden, he just happened to pop on a Zoom service that I was taking, and we reconnected again, which was wonderful. So, and we do lots of things together and try and see each other when we can. Helen's just said we danced our way through lockdowns in our local parks, cheering people up. I think I know you haven't, Helen. You haven't told that story before. That's amazing. How great is that,
Yeah, love
dancing?
that.
Yeah.
There were so many people, they did so many inventives. I mean, really people got very inventive, didn't they? To
Yes.
help each other. And that was community at its best, really.
Yes.
It really was. And it's such a shame that that now for me seems to be pittering a bit, although there are one or two that are trying to keep that up and trying to keep that going, whether it be online or in the physical, So
Yes.
I think really let's not forget its teachings is my philosophy on that.
Yeah.
It was a tragic time for many people.
Yes.
Many loved ones were lost. It was hard work for our National Health Service and the frontliners. It was tough. It was hard for people to get their head round. Some people are still struggling with the mental health because of it. But there is, as with your stories on your podcast, Kiri, there's also positive
Yeah.
outcomes. That
Mhm.
there's the Zoom connection that we as spiritualists have with services and circles and classes, and also I think other faiths got together on Zoom as well. So that's been a godsend as well. So like in all life, there's the positive and the negative in everything that we do, I think,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and
Lots
everything
of
that happens.
learning to be done from that as well, isn't there? We've learned lots from it.
Yes,
Which is, I think we have to learn, we have to understand that life is a teacher. It's a lesson that we need to learn and make the best from it. And it's up to us what we take from that. If you're a positive person, it's all smiles. If you're less, though, they find it a bit difficult, isn't it? Oh,
yeah,
Lorna played bingo with the children. Oh, well, and I bet
great
the
fun.
children won, didn't they, Lorna?
Kelly's just saying my son worked through the pandemic. He got
Wow.
COVID, ended up on life support. Thought we would never see him again. He pulled through. Well, thank God for that,
Oh,
Kelly.
Yeah.
that's positive. Yeah, wonderful. You
Absolutely,
know.
absolutely. Now, in a minute, we're going to be having a segment that Richard has created. But the only thing with this segment, I think he said there might be some copyright issues with some music or something that he's done. So we may get kicked off possibly from Facebook. So I'm just warning everybody that if we do sort of disappear, it's because of that. So I don't know if we ought to sort of, Richard, do you think we ought to sort of say the goodbyes before you do the segment? Or oh, okay, that's fine. So the segment may be muted, but it shouldn't stop the broadcast. So it's an interesting little concept that you know, Richard, he's always thinking about things and trying to sort of think of different things to bring to our wonderful SPTV family. And he's created this segment called Tales of Amara. And this is a special helper from the spirit world that comes down to help people in need. It takes me back to the series that I used to watch. People will think that all I do is watch the telly, Chris, but I don't. But some of you may remember Highway to Heaven and Touched by an Angel.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, you remember those, don't you?
With the man from the house from the prairie, the little house on the prairie.
Yes,
That's the one.
And Bonanza, yes.
That's it.
Michael Landon, that's it, yes. So it's a little bit like that, but Richard has created a character, a special helper from the spirit world to come, and he's going to be doing this on a regular basis, I believe, but he just wants to get your feedback as the SPTV family. You know that is very important to him. So he wants to get your feedback to see what you think. So if you like it, we need to know in the comments, because as with everything, the more you like it, the more you'll get. So and this little character is called Amara, which is quite a nice name. So Amara is going to be also possibly be part of the SPTV family as a little helper from the spirit world sent down to connect with people.
I take it this is AI, Karen, is it?
I believe so. Is that correct, Richard? Right.
Okay.
So the character and the creation is AI, apart from the script and the wording, which has been created by the one and only Richard. So it's like we're premiering a little movie here.
It is. I'm sure. Is Kiri AI or is she real, do you think?
No, I think Kiri's real. She's real. So
okay.
So that's all right then. So Richard, are you ready for your little for the introduction? Lovely. So we're going to watch it as well, which is really nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone who is part of our SPTV family, may I introduce you to a special segment, The Special Helper, Amira, and the story of a little girl called Lily.
And don't forget to let us know what you think.
Absolutely.
Way that humans are. Rather, she emerged slowly, like Amara wasn't born in the way that humans are. Rather, she emerged slowly, like a soft glow rising from the kindness, hope, and resilience of countless souls who once walked the earth. Formed in a realm where love is boundless and compassion flows like a river, Amara became a guide, a spirit drawn toward those who need a reminder of life's deeper beauty. For as long as she can remember, Amara has felt a pull to the human world, responding to whispers of grief and silent pleas for strength. She isn't here to change anyone's fate or alter life's natural course. Instead, she offers her presence as a gentle light in moments of struggle. Amara moves softly, appearing only to those with open hearts, a quiet companion who reassures us that we are never truly alone. These stories, shared here in small glimpses, are pieces of her endless journey, a collection of moments where Amara has touched lives, offering comfort, wisdom, or just a simple reminder of the love that surrounds us. Each story captures a single, timeless message, reflecting Amara's gentle purpose, to walk beside those who need her, offering peace in times of pain and hope in times of doubt. As you watch, may you feel a bit of her presence,
Amara's warmth, her quiet understanding, her unwavering belief that every soul is seen, valued, and deeply loved. These reflections are reminders that even in life's darkest hours, there is light, and it's closer than we think. Amara's story, A Little Girl Named Lily. This time we revisit one of Amara's stories, a memory of a little girl named Lily, whose gentle spirit left an everlasting impression. Amara remembers Lily well, a bright, joyful child with brown hair, warm brown eyes, and a sprinkle of freckles that made her smile all the more endearing. Lily was just 4 years old, yet she carried a kindness beyond her years, reaching out to comfort strangers and spreading warmth wherever she went. As we listen to Amara's memories of Lily, may we feel a piece of that gentle presence, a reminder of the love that connects us all, bridging our world with the next. At just 4 years old, Lily was her parents' world, their joy, their light, and their life. She was a slender, bright, and the biggest smile anyone had ever seen. Lily's spirit was as boundless as her imagination, and she was always waving hello to strangers, sometimes even reaching out to hold their hands just to give them comfort. She had a knack for bringing warmth to others, whether she knew them or not. One of her most treasured belongings was a scruffy teddy bear named Joy, a well-loved toy that had belonged to her nana when she was a baby. Joy had been passed down from one generation to the next, carrying memories and love within its worn, soft fabric. Joy was Lily's constant companion, her confidant and protector. Together they shared countless adventures, and every night, Joy was tucked securely beside her, a comforting reminder of her nana's love. Lily's dad often lifted her up to the window to gaze at the stars, telling her stories that made the sky come alive. With silly voices and exaggerated expressions, he would introduce her to mystical characters: a wise old unicorn with a rainbow mane, a friendly dragon who danced on the clouds, and a magical wizard bear, also named Joy, who travelled through worlds bringing happiness to everyone he met. Lily would giggle, her eyes wide with delight, as her dad's stories spun a universe of wonder where everything was possible and kindness ruled the land. Though her life was filled with magic and laughter like running through long grass fields, Lily's family was facing a difficult journey. Not long ago, after countless doctor visits and worried whispers, her parents received the news no family should hear. Lily had cancer. Though she didn't fully understand, she felt the changes around her. Her energy began to fade, her laughter grew softer, but through it all, her spirit stayed bright. She still waved to strangers, still shared joy with others, and still dreamed of a world full of kindness. Despite everything, Lily still dreamed. She would talk to Joy about the world she wanted to create someday. A world where kindness was bigger than anything else. She told her mum and dad that when she grows up, she wants to help people and be there for those who needed her. She imagined a place where no one was alone, where people took care of one another, and where love was stronger than greed, lies, or power. Her words, pure and full of compassion, left her parents in awe of her gentle, loving soul. During her quiet moments, Lily loved to draw. Her pictures were full of stars, flowers, and people she loved, filling the pages with her own brand of happiness while pretending she was a cartoon. Recently, she'd drawn something new, a soft, glowing figure she called her shiny friend. When her mum asked about it, Lily explained with a smile, "She's always here when I feel sleepy. She makes me feel warm, like Nana's hugs." She'd drawn her new friend beside her favourite flowers, giving life to the spirit who brought her comfort when words couldn't. This comforting presence was Amara, a gentle guide drawn to Lily's pure heart and gentle spirit. Amara wasn't there to change Lily's path, but to be a quiet, reassuring presence, offering a love that bridged worlds and a warmth that wrapped around Lily like her dad's hug. She stayed close, her soft glow visible only to Lily, like a beacon of peace in the quiet moments. One evening, as Lily nestled into her bed with Joy tucked securely by her side, her mum and dad took turns tucking her in. They didn't know that tonight would be their last time together, but the love they shared was as strong as ever. They chatted softly, reminiscing about her silly voices, her favourite stories, and the countless moments that filled their lives with laughter. Her dad leaned close, singing her favourite Elvis Presley song, Until It's Time for You to Go. His voice soft and steady, a song wrapped in love. Lily's eyes grew heavy, her small hand clutching joy, as her parents kissed her goodnight, whispering that they loved her more than words could say. They stayed a moment longer, holding her hand, then gently left the room, their hearts full of love and memories. As they closed the door, a soft light began to shine through Lily's window, growing brighter and warmer, as if love itself had taken form. This light was Amara, drawn to Lily's innocence and gentle heart, coming to guide her in this peaceful moment. Amara's presence filled the room, a warm glow that wrapped around Lily and Joy, soothing and gentle. Without words, Amara's love shone like a quiet song, like a warm hug from her nana, like her dad's voice carrying her through her dreams. As the light filled the room, Lily was embraced by a love that would carry her into a place of peace, surrounded by everything she had ever dreamed of.
Are you an angel?
Something like that. My name is Amara. It means everlasting, grace, immortal, and to love. I'm here to keep you company, Lily, and to help you find your way home.
Are you from the place with Nana and Grandpa?
Yes, I am. It's a wonderful place, Lily. There no one feels pain and no one grows tired. Everyone can still learn and grow, finding more love every day. It's like a garden of peace that never fades.
I don't want to leave Mummy and Daddy. They'll be sad.
I know, Lily, but sometimes we have to let go just a little. Your love for them will never leave. It will stay like a beautiful light in their hearts. And one day they'll feel it again, just as you feel it now.
Will it be dark? I don't like the dark.
No, you don't have to fear the dark anymore. It's like stepping into a warm hug, and you won't be alone. There are other kind, loving spirits waiting to welcome you, like Nana and Grandpa. You will meet some new friends your age, so you can play games and run around.
Is it nice and pretty there?
It's a place filled with love where you're never truly alone. There's no pain, only peace. And everyone cares for each other like family. It's calm and beautiful, and you can still learn and grow, just in a different way.
Will I still get to see Joy and all the nice people?
Yes, Joy will be with you, along with all the love that surrounds you. You'll always be close to the ones you care about, even if they can't see or hear you. You can still visit your mummy and daddy whenever they need you, feeling their love as they feel yours. And when your mummy and daddy are ready, they'll sense you nearby in their hearts. You'll be a light for them, guiding them through, just as they've been there for you.
Will I remember everyone? Will they remember me?
Yes, you'll always remember them, and they'll always remember you. Love is like a special light that keeps us connected, no matter where we are. You will carry them in your heart, and they'll carry you in theirs. The love you share is forever, and they will always be so proud of you. Even if you can't see each other, you'll feel that love like a warm hug whenever you need it.
Can I see what it looks like before I go?
Do you see? There's a world that's waiting for you, filled with love, and it's not so far away. I'll be there with you every step of the way. If you want to come with me, you can hold my hand if you wish.
I think I'm ready. I'm a little scared I'm going to miss cuddling Mummy and Daddy, but I'll be okay.
It's okay to feel a little scared, Lily. You're so brave, and I'll be with you every step of the way. You'll still be able to feel your mummy and daddy's love even if you can't hold them.
As Lily begins to walk toward the soft light beside Amara, her parents, overcome by instinct, return to Lily's room quickly to say their goodbyes, their faces wet with tears, hearts filled with love.
Oh, my little Lily, you will always be in my heart. Goodbye for now. I love you.
We both love you, Lily. My sweet little angel girl. You're with the stars now.
I love you too, Mommy and Daddy. I can see Nana and Grandpa. They say hello. I have to go now, but I'll visit soon. I'll miss you.
And so, with the light to guide her, Lily finds her way. Not an end, but a beginning in a place where love shines eternal. Lily's little life was brief, yet she left an impact that will linger in the hearts of those she touched. Her journey reminds us that love and spirit are eternal, woven into the fabric of life itself. Though we may not see them, our loved ones walk beside us, still guiding us and sending their love from beyond. Life is a continuous journey, one that doesn't end but transforms, connecting us all in spirit. In moments of quiet, when the world feels heavy, just listen, they can speak to us, offering love, strength and guidance to keep moving forward. We are never truly alone. The spirit world is as close as a whispered thought, reminding us that love never dies, and life is forever.
Wow, that was very lump-inducing, wasn't it?
Absolutely, very moving segment, I have to say, a beautiful story, but summing up the love that is on the other side when we do eventually go to the spirit world. So please let us know what you think. It's a lovely story and reminds me very much of the Touched by an Angel and Halfway to Heaven. Yes, I think that it's very moving. So well done, Richard, for putting that together. Yeah, that came from the heart. So
I think it told it really eloquently,
absolutely.
and
Neil,
sometimes seeing it from a child's point of view rather than
yes,
from an adult's is very refreshing.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
getting quite a few comments here saying so beautiful here from the
absolutely,
Tony
yeah, and Neil,
and
well
Neil and
done,
Kelly.
Richard.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh. Yeah, I know,
Terry's going to
Trevor.
cry in a
Same
minute,
here.
Trevor.
I think we were all welling up. Kiri, did you enjoy that?
I loved it. I think the thing that stood out for me is when they said no matter how short her life was, she still made an impact.
Yes.
And I think that's what we've all got to remember, that we're impacting on people's lives, aren't we? And that's how people are going to remember us. And yeah, we are here and we can make an impact, whether that's good or bad, and hopefully good.
Yeah.
I think it should be that way. And it's never looking at, this is how we try to do it through our teachings. It's not the life that we have with you, the amount of time, but it's the impact. What was inspired, what touched us, what grew because of that, So, you.
Okay, so if you would like something like that, Richard is quite prepared to do a 10-minute segment of another person to tell their story, and he will do it in that beautiful way. So if that's something that you would like to see, please let us know. You talk before we talk about impact. I always remember a young lad that used to come to our church called Anthony, and he used to go around with the collection plate and he would welcome people and give him books out. And he started to go to the church when he was about 4, and his parents used to go to the church. And then he got cancer as a young child as well. And we as the church members went to his funeral, and I have never seen a crematorium chapel so full. It was standing room only. And he was only 11 when he passed. But in those 11 years, he touched so many lives. And his headmaster got up and spoke and did the eulogy on behalf of his parents. And it was such a wonderful story. It really was. I've never forgot it, So
Obviously it touched you as well,
very much so.
So Richard's going to do that for us once a month, I believe.
Yes, once a month. So if that's something that you want, let us know. Well done, Richard. That was
Yeah,
beautiful.
brilliant.
It really
Yeah.
was. Applaud to you.
Yeah.
It's not the years in your life, but it's the life in your years. I remember that old saying very well. Very true, Trevor.
Thank you, Trevor. And now, everyone, it's time. It's sadly we've run out of time. We've had so much going on today. It's been quite amazing. So don't forget, we've got Claire Pasterfield tonight at 7. Tuesday, it's Ashley Robinson. Wednesday, we have Jordan Richards at 7. And Thursday, Ashley Oliver at 7. So it's all happening on SPTV. And as of next week, we're going to have our positive segments with our lovely Kiri. So you will be part of the show, Kiri, which is wonderful.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me today. I've really enjoyed it.
Good.
Well, we've enjoyed having you, and we look forward to seeing you in the weeks to come.
Absolutely. And if you want to come back and join us again, you'll be more than in person. You'll be more than welcome. So everyone, it's time to say goodbye. It's been our pleasure to be with you this morning. All these things that are happening, all these things that are going on. So I hope that we've filled 2 hours of your day to start your day, start your week with a positive outlook. And we will be back next week. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from them both.
Thank you. Goodbye for me.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Enjoy
everyone.
your week. Enjoy
Take
it.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.